we're just trying to match this stick with this white stick, right? And feel that our shoulder is going down towards the black stick.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Kerrod Gray here on the range today at the Osprey Point Golf Club, Don Law Golf Academy in Boca Raton, South Florida. Standing next to me, I got the man, Kenny Leech. Kenny, pleased to have you here, mate.
Thank you, man.
We got some great content for you guys today. We're going to be talking about eliminating the slice through controlling the hubs of your body throughout the motion, not only the setup, the backswing, and some downswing. If you're struggling with curving the ball too much left to right for the right-hander, vice versa for the left, well, this video, this is for you. Let's say that from this setup position, I feel like my hubs are aligned. I feel like I'm set up, my pelvis is slightly forward. I feel like I've got a little bit of tilt.
Beautiful.
I feel like I'm in a really good spot to generate a lot of speed and consistency, right? What are some of the big errors you see with slices of the golf ball, right? With the movement of the upper and lower body, right? So let's say that I'm set up into this position and I've got these hubs aligned. I feel like I'm in a good spot to make a proficient backswing. So for a slicer, what would you tend to see that the errors that they would make with the movement of their body? So hubs, once again, head, sternum, pelvis. What are we doing?
Perfect. So it's all, you know, the backswing is key. It's like setting up the downswing, right? Butch Harmon talks about the top of the golf swing is the most important thing, right? So first we got to get there, and then we got to work on the movement into the ball and that transition. So when in slicers, most of the time what I'll see is this hub move way too far to the right with very little rotation. And then this starts to tilt that way. Right? So and most of the time, what the sad part is their chest is actually doing the right thing.
It's extending, right?
Yeah, it's extending, and it's actually, like if you were to actually measure this, it's not moving any inches that way. It's just that these are going that way, and it's causing the spine to tilt this way. And that's where you're gonna, and that is for the backswing, that's going to set you up for death.
So if I'm making that move and my hips are back, right? So even if I'm in a good setup position, and you guys can watch the previous video to this if you haven't already, which will show you the big error that we see with slices from a setup. But if my hips are swaying away from the target, that inhibits this rotation. I can't get any depth. The right knee for the right hand is going to stay flexed. And then as an effect, guess what happens? The arms lift. Now
that's all they can do.
From here, it is almost impossible to get that club coming from the inside unless we do some real compensations to get to it, right? So we've got the pelvis, right? So we don't want to get the pelvis shifting away from the target. What else we got from there?
So like that sensation, just something I use with my students. So for example, if you were to put your club, just put your club right on your hip here. Just like this. Put it across your hip. Okay, actually go to the other side so the grip's pointing at me. Boom, that's easy. All right, now go ahead and get in your posture just like we talked about. All right, now I want you to not hit me standing here. Make this thing go. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Just don't hit me. That's it. Very simple.
That's almost too simple.
Just don't hit me.
So if I was demonstrating this incorrectly, they would be shifting.
You would be bumping into me, right? So, and that's why I give them like a little bit of space. You know, I don't mind a little bit of a shift to the right because I feel that there's a recenter of the pelvis, right? So I don't mind just a touch. Like if you looked at like Rory, for example, he's going to move about not even an inch. Okay, but then he's going to start to get it back to zero.
And we see that because of triggers, right? So most players start with their pressure left, and then they would do a little bump where they go forward and then back, and that actually shifts their pressure correctly, which is important for creating speed, guys. So as we do that, then it actually gives me the freedom to do that, doesn't it? Yeah, great. So that's an awesome little drill to ensure that our hips are turning correctly or in the correct fashion, so they're not swaying away. What else we got from there?
So, I mean, you also have to make sure that your chest is doing the right thing, right? So, for example, actually, like a very simple way of what I do this with my students, I love alignment rods. Like alignment rods are literally the greatest tool out there when it comes to coaching. I've watched some pretty awesome coaches. And I've seen some training aids being used, and I've seen some not being used. Everybody uses an alignment rod for something, right? So, if you don't have them, you're really missing the boat.
I think so. And I use so many drills with alignment rods. The videos that I did with Eric yesterday, same sort of thing. Every video was involving an alignment rod.
So really what we could say is Now this is a general statement. This is nothing. This would be, we could obviously 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
This is a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
Right? So we could just generally say that our hips in the golf swing turn 90 degrees and our upper body turns, or sorry, our hips turn 45 degrees,
yeah.
Our upper body turns 90.
Correct.
We just generally say that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to always make sure is that when my players are doing this, they're gonna match the white stick with the white stick,
yeah.
and we'll just make sure this orange stays on that black, right?
Okay.
So as I'm doing this, we put that in the very center,
yep.
right? And all I'm trying to do is make sure that when I do that, like I had you doing it there,
yeah.
it's gonna miss.
Okay.
And we're just gonna make sure that we're turning this 90. And when we're looking at this, right, I'd actually like to see this orange and this black kind of either on it or even just slightly to the right of it.
Even further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like we're just always making sure that we're right there.
Yeah.
So that our spine does not have this factor to it.
Yeah, correct.
Right? So it's either centered or just slightly. I'm talking slightly.
Yeah.
I never want to see this.
Yeah.
Never want to see this right stick get over the right foot.
Yeah, so that would be moving this hub too much, right?
Correct.
So we're allowed to move this a little bit within reason.
Correct.
But we don't want it swaying massively
Yeah.
off the golf ball.
I mean, if you put a little box in your head, if you move it one or 2 inches, it's really not going to be crazy.
Yeah.
You can recover from that. And actually, it might even tend you to hit a drill.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So as you're doing this, right, we're just trying to match this stick with this white stick, right, and feel that our shoulder is going down towards the black stick and pointing somewhat at the ball.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
That looks
so
great.
that's a good turn. Our hubs are controlled there. Once again, our spine, we got to make sure that the overall orientation of our spine is not doing this.
Not tilting too much, yeah.
Right? And we have to, and if you push this way,
yeah.
What happens to the top?
Yeah, exactly.
Goes that way, right?
Exactly.
So that's why the pelvis, we have to
seesaw effect.
Correct. you have to first control the pelvis.
Yeah.
Then you can control the upper body.
Okay.
So so you have to manage this. Hopefully this is doing something right? So having there, right, just making sure you're getting a good turn from there.
Yeah, that's
right?
amazing.
I do this with all my players. Like literally, if you're in my first lesson, the concepts are key. I think a player, the person in front of you, if you need to understand the concepts first before you can actually do anything.
Yeah.
Right. So once you understand, once you and your coach have some conceptual continuity,
yeah.
you can start to make some progress.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So this is a pretty simple drill. Just making sure I'm getting a full shoulder turn and my hubs are aligned, right? And obviously film yourself, do some mirror work. You can actually kind of see these things.
Let me jump in there quickly, really. So, summarizing really what we've got here for this section, talking about the backswing.
Correct.
And mostly addressing slices, because that's the majority of the real inconsistency that we see with players that are kind of viewing this content, right? So their hips might be sliding away.
Correct.
Right? Which then has the effect that they're not rotating and their upper body moves in this direction.
Correct.
So a fantastic exercise for you guys to do is you chuck the golf club across your hips like this, you get down in your posture, you stand up against a wall, right? You can feel like you got to hit your hips a little bit forward at address, and then just train your hips to move in this fashion.
Yeah.
Just getting them to feel that this club itself is not shifting away. Now you might feel, and a lot of players do when they do this for the first time, that they are reverse pivoting, like they've got too much weight on their lead side. Now it's a static drill, guys. So when you're doing this, don't be afraid to feel like you've got more weight on this side, because what happens in motion is there is a misconception around pressure movement in the golf swing. A lot of players are trying to load up their back foot right to the top of the swing and then start down. Well, before you know it, just what Kenny said, what has happened to my body to get into that position? You are better off, if you're looking to hit a draw, get this feeling that these hips are working in more of a circular fashion. Yes. So this right hip moves back and behind. Then it gets us into a position here that you can see that my upper body, if anything, has ever so slightly moved this way, which if you're a slicer, that is an okay thing to do as long as you are controlling the pelvis. We don't want to be all or nothing and doing this number here. So if we can learn to control the pelvis a little bit better, get the hips working in a circle, that'll help eliminate that slice. That's right.